when we say, "You cannot give up"? Is it not, in essence, a call to perseverance in the face of adversity? A reminder of the indomitable spirit that resides within each of us? As I wrote in Mere Christianity, if you are on the wrong road, progress means doing an about turn and walking back to the right road. In that case, the man who turns back soonest is the most progressive. Indeed, the act of not giving up often requires us to reassess our path, to make difficult changes, and to press on even when the way forward is unclear. But let us not be mistaken. This is not a call to blind stubbornness or refusal to acknowledge reality. Rather, it is an invitation to recognize the deeper truth of our own resilience and the importance of our individual journeys. As I explored in the problem of pain, we can ignore even pleasure. But pain insists upon being attended to. God whispers to us in our pleasures, speaks in our conscience, but shouts in our pains. It is his megaphone to rouse a deaf world. In the same vein, the challenges that tempt us to give up are often the very experiences that have the potential to transform us, to awaken us to our own strength and purpose. But perhaps you're thinking, "Lewis, isn't there wisdom in knowing when to quit? When to cut our losses and move on?" This is a fair question and one that deserves our careful consideration. Indeed, as I wrote in the Screwtape Letters, indeed the safest road to hell is the gradual one. The gentle slope, soft underfoot, without sudden turnings, without milestones, without signposts. There is a danger in persisting blindly down the wrong path, in refusing to acknowledge when a change of direction is necessary. However, the essence of "you cannot give up" is not about stubbornly clinging to a misguided course. It is about maintaining hope, preserving effort, and continuing to strive, even when the path forward requires us to make difficult changes or face uncomfortable truths. As I wrote in The Horse and His Boy, do not by any means destroy yourself. For if you live, you may yet have good fortune, but all the dead are dead alike. To give up is to foreclose on the possibility of future good, to close the book before the story has reached its true conclusion. So how do we cultivate this spirit of perseverance, this refusal to give up? It starts, I believe, with a clear understanding of our own nature and potential. As I wrote in The Weight of Glory, there are no ordinary people. You have never talked to a mere mortal. Nations, cultures, arts, civilizations, these are mortal, and their life is to ours as the life of a gnat. But it is immortals who we joke with, work with, marry, snub, and exploit, immortal horrors or everlasting splendors, when we truly internalize this truth, that we are beings of immense potential, capable of becoming either immortal horrors or everlasting splendors. We begin to see the importance of perseverance, and we recognize that each choice to continue, each refusal to give up, is shaping not just our present circumstances, but our eternal destiny. The power of small, consistent acts of perseverance. As I wrote in Mere Christianity, good and evil both increase at compound interest. That is why the little decisions you and I make every day are of such infinite importance. Not giving up is not primarily about grand, heroic acts of endurance. It is about the small, daily choices we make. To try again after a failure, to keep hoping when all seems lost, to take one more step when we feel we can't. These small acts of perseverance compound over time, shaping our character and our destiny. As I wrote in the Screwtape Letters, indeed the safest road to hell is the gradual one. The gentle slope, soft underfoot, without sudden turnings, without milestones, without signposts. The same is true of the road to greatness. It is paved with small, consistent acts of refusing to give up, of persevering in the face of difficulty and doubt. But perhaps you're wondering, "Lewis, how do we maintain this resolve not to give up in the face of constant setbacks, fatigue, and the temptation to simply let go?" This, my friends, is where the real battle begins. This is where "you cannot give up" becomes not just a concept, but a lived reality. The key, I believe, lies in developing what I call a hopeful imagination. As I wrote in Mere Christianity, imagine yourself as a living house, God comes in to rebuild that house. At first, perhaps, you can understand what he is doing. He is getting the drains right and stopping the leaks in the roof and so on. You knew that those jobs needed doing, and so you're not surprised. But presently he starts knocking the house about in a way that hurts abominably and does not seem to make any sense. What on earth is he up to? The explanation is that he is building quite a different house from the one you thought of, throwing out a new wing here, putting on an extra floor there, running up towers, making courtyards. You thought you were being made into a decent little cottage, but he is building a palace. He intends to come and live in it himself. When we refuse to give up, when we choose to persevere through difficulties, we are participating in this divine reconstruction. We are allowing ourselves to be shaped into something far greater than we could have imagined. But this requires us to use our imagination, to see beyond our current struggles, our current limitations, to the person we are capable of becoming. This hopeful imagination allows us to endure present difficulties for the sake of future rewards. It enables us to say yes to the struggle and no to the temptation to give up when doing so aligns with our highest aspiration. As I wrote in The Great Divorce, there are only two kinds of people in the end. Those who say to God, "Thy will be done," and those to whom God says, in the end, "Thy will be done." When we refuse to give up, we are aligning our will with a higher purpose, with our highest potential. But let us be clear, this is not about denying the reality of our struggles or the legitimacy of our pain. As I wrote in A Grief Observed, pain is God's megaphone to rouse a deaf world. We are blocks of stone out of which the sculptor carves the forms of men. The blows of his chisel, which hurt us so much, are what make us perfect. The refusal to give up does not mean we do not feel pain, doubt, or fatigue. It means we choose to persist despite these feelings, trusting that our struggles are shaping us into something beautiful and good. This brings us to an important distinction, the difference between giving up and letting go. Giving up is a surrender to despair, a foreclosure on hope and possibility. Letting go, on the other hand, can be a wise and necessary path. As I wrote in The Four Loves, to love at all is to be vulnerable. Love anything and your heart will be wrung and possibly broken. If you want to make sure of keeping it intact, you must give it to no one, not even an animal. Wrap it carefully round with hobbies and little luxuries. Avoid all entanglements. Lock it up safe in the casket or coffin of your selfishness. But in that casket, safe, dark, motionless, airless, it will change. It will not be broken. It will become unbreakable, impenetrable, irreducible. Sometimes not giving up means letting go of our preconceived notions of how things should be. It means releasing our grip on particular outcomes while still holding fast to our core values and aspirations. It means being willing to adapt, to change course, to learn and grow, all while maintaining our fundamental commitment not to give up on ourselves or our highest ideals. Now, as we delve deeper into this concept of you cannot give up, let us consider the various arenas in which this principle can be applied, for this refusal to surrender can transform every aspect of our lives. Our personal growth, our relationships, our work, our faith, and our impact on the world around us. In our personal growth, refusing to give up means continually striving to become our best selves, even when the path is difficult. As I wrote in Mere Christianity, every time you make a choice, you are turning the central part of you, the part of you that chooses, into something a little different from what it was before. When we choose to persevere in our efforts to grow, to learn, to overcome our faults and limitations, we are shaping ourselves into persons of strength and character. This perseverance in personal growth often requires us to confront uncomfortable truths about ourselves. As I wrote in The Problem of Pain, we can ignore even pleasure, but pain insists upon being attended to. God whispers to us in our pleasures, speaks in our conscience, but shouts in our pains. It is his megaphone to rouse a deaf world. When we refuse to give up on our personal growth, we become willing to hear these shouts, to attend to the areas of our lives that need change and development. In our relationships, not giving up means committing to love and understanding, even when it's difficult. As I explored in the 4 loves, to love at all is to be vulnerable. Love anything and your heart will be wrung and possibly broken. Yet it is precisely this willingness to risk, to remain open and committed, even in the face of potential hurt, that allows for deep and meaningful connection. This doesn't mean we stay in harmful or abusive situations. That would be a misunderstanding of what it means not to give up. Rather, it means we don't give up on the ideal of love itself, on the possibility of genuine connection and understanding, even if we must let go of particular relationships that no longer serve our highest good. In our work and vocations, refusing to give up means persisting in our efforts to contribute meaningfully to the world, even when the path is unclear or the rewards seem distant. As I wrote in The Weight of Glory, if we consider the unblushing promises of reward and the staggering nature of the rewards promised in the Gospels, it would seem that our Lord finds our desires not too strong, but too weak. When we refuse to give up on our calling, on the work we feel compelled to do in the world, we open ourselves to possibilities far greater than we might have imagined. We become willing to endure the struggles and setbacks inherent in any worthwhile endeavor, trusting that our persistence will bear fruit in due time. In our faith and spiritual lives, not giving up means maintaining hope and trust even in the darkest of times. As I wrote in Mere Christianity, faith is the art of holding on to things your reason has once accepted, in spite of your changing moods. This doesn't mean we never doubt or question. Indeed, wrestling with doubt can be an important part of spiritual growth, but it means we don't allow our doubts to have the final word, that we continue to seek and to trust even when the way seems unclear. This spiritual perseverance often requires us to confront the deepest questions of existence. As I explored in The Problem of Pain, God whispers to us in our pleasures, speaks in our consciences, but shouts in our pains. It is his megaphone to rouse a deaf world. When we refuse to give up on our spiritual journey, we become willing to grapple with these shouts, to engage with the profound questions of meaning, purpose, and ultimate reality. And in our impact on the world around us, refusing to give up means maintaining our commitment to making a positive difference, even when the challenges seem insurmountable. As I wrote in The Weight of Glory, it is a serious thing to live in a society of possible gods and goddesses. To remember that the dullest and most uninteresting person you talk to may one day be a creature, which, if you saw it now, you would be strongly tempted to worship, or else a horror and a corruption such as you now meet, if at all, only in a nightmare. When we refuse to give up on our efforts to improve the world, to fight injustice, to spread kindness and understanding, we are participating in this grand transformation of society. We are helping to create a world where more people have the opportunity to become the gods and goddesses they were meant to be. Now, as we near the midpoint of our discourse, let us consider how we might practically apply this philosophy of you cannot give up in our daily lives. It begins, I believe, with a shift in perspective. As I wrote in Mere Christianity, if you look for truth, you may find comfort in the end. If you look for comfort, you will not get either comfort or truth, only soft soap and wishful thinking to begin, and in the end. Start each day by reminding yourself of your commitment not to give up. This might involve reciting a personal mantra, reading inspirational passages, or simply taking a moment to reaffirm your determination to persist in the face of whatever challenges the day may bring. Practice what I call perseverance training. Just as an athlete trains their body to perform under increasingly challenging conditions, we can train our will to persist through difficulty. This might involve setting small, achievable goals and consistently working towards them. gradually increasing the difficulty as our perseverance muscles grow. Cultivate a mindset of growth and possibility. As I wrote in The Horse and His Boy, do not by any means destroy yourself, for if you live you may yet have good fortune, but all the dead are dead alike when faced with a setback or failure. Rather than seeing it as a reason to give up, view it as an opportunity for learning and growth. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I use this experience to become stronger and more resilient? Develop what I call future self-motivation. When you're tempted to give up, imagine your future self looking back on this moment. Will that future self be proud that you persisted or disappointed that you gave up? As I wrote in the screw tape letters, indeed the safest road to hell is the gradual one. The gentle slope, soft underfoot, without sign turnings, without signposts. By considering the long-term consequences of our choices, we can find the motivation to persist even when the immediate path is difficult. Practice gratitude for your struggles. As counterintuitive as it may seem, learning to be thankful for our difficulties can transform our relationship with them. As I wrote in The Problem of, we can ignore even pleasure. But pain insists upon being attended to. God whispers to us in our pleasures, speaks in our conscience, but shouts in our pain. It is his megaphone to rouse a deaf world. When we view our challenges as opportunities for growth rather than as reasons to give up, we unlock their transformative potential. Cultivate supportive relationships. As I wrote in The Four Loves, friendship is born at the moment when one man says to another, what? You too. I thought that no one but myself. Surround yourself with people who understand and support your commitment to perseverance. Share your struggles and your victories with them. Allow them to encourage you when your resolve wavers and to celebrate with you when you overcome difficulties. Regularly reflect on your progress. As I wrote in Mere Christianity, we all want progress. But if you're on the wrong road, progress means doing an about turn and walking back to the right road. In that case, the man who turns back soonest is the most progressive. Take time to assess whether your efforts are truly serving your highest goals. Be willing to adjust your approach as needed, always keeping your ultimate commitment, not to give up in sight. And finally, remember the ultimate purpose of this refusal to give up. As I wrote in The Weight of Glory, it would seem that our Lord finds our desires not too strong, but too weak. We are half-hearted creatures, fooling about with drink and sex and ambition when infinite joy is offered us, like an ignorant child who wants to go on making mud pies in a slum, because he cannot imagine what is meant by the offer of a holiday at the sea. We are far too easily pleased. By refusing to give up, by choosing the path of perseverance and determination, we are not diminishing our lives, but expanding them. We are reaching for that infinite joy, that holiday at the sea, rather than contenting ourselves with mud pies in a slum. As we move into the latter part of our discourse, let us consider the broader implications of this philosophy. What might our world look like if more of us chose to live by the principle you cannot give up? Imagine, if you will, a society where people consistently chose to persist in the face of difficulty, where setbacks were seen not as reasons to quit, but as opportunities for growth and learning, where the easy path of surrender was routinely rejected in favor of the more challenging, but ultimately more rewarding path of perseverance. This, I believe, is the transformative potential of our philosophy. By choosing to live by the principle, you cannot give up, we not only transform our own lives, but contribute to a cultural shift. We become part of a counterculture of resilience in a world often dominated by the pursuit of instant gratification and easy solutions. But let us not be naive. This path of refusing to give up is not an easy one. In a world that often celebrates quick fixes and overnight successes, choosing to persist in the face of prolonged difficulty can seem foolish. We may face misunderstanding, We may be tempted to abandon our resolve. We may even begin to doubt the value of our chosen path. Yet I would argue that this is a small price to pay for the growth, the strength, the character we gain. As I wrote in the last battle, I've come home at last. This is my real country. I belong here. This is the land I have been looking for all my life, though I never knew it till now. When we choose not to give up, when we persist through challenges and setbacks, we come home to our true selves. We find our real country, our true belonging, not in the fleeting satisfaction of easy victories, but in the deep fulfillment of becoming all that we are capable of being. Moreover, by choosing this path, we give others permission to do the same. We create spaces of courage and resilience in our families, our workplaces, our communities. We demonstrate that it's possible to thrive not in spite of difficulties, but because of them. As we near the conclusion of our discourse, let us consider one final aspect of our philosophy, its spiritual dimension. As I wrote in Mere Christianity, if I find in myself desires which nothing in this world can satisfy, the only logical explanation is that I was made for another world. When we refuse to give up, when we choose the path of perseverance and determination, we open ourselves to this other world, not as an escape from reality, but as a deeper engagement with it. We touch something eternal, something beyond the fleeting nature of our immediate circumstance. This is not to say that we should ignore or devalue the good things of this world. Far from it. As I wrote in the Screwtape Letters, there are two equal and opposite errors into which our race can fall about the devils. One is to disbelieve in their existence. The other is to believe and to feel an excessive and unhealthy interest in them. In the same way, there are two errors we can make about perseverance. One is to give up too easily, to become so focused on comfort and ease that we never grow or develop our potential. The other is to become so enamored with the idea of never giving up that we lose sight of its purpose. Growth, development, the realization of our highest potential. The key is to find a balance, to refuse to give up in ways that are constructive and purposeful, while still being willing to let go of approaches or goals that no longer serve our highest good. This balance allows us to be in the world but not of it, to engage fully with life while constantly pushing ourselves to grow and improve. As we draw our discourse to a close, let me share with you a final thought from the Weight of Glory. It would seem that our Lord finds our desires not too strong but too weak. We are half-hearted creatures fooling about with drink and sex and ambition, when infinite joy is offered us, like an ignorant child who wants to go on making mud pies in a slum, because he cannot imagine what is meant by the offer of a holiday at the sea. We are far too easily pleased. My friends, when we give up too easily, when we choose comfort over growth, ease over challenge, we are like that child making mud pies. We are contenting ourselves with far less than what is offered to us. The refusal to give up is not just a strategy for achievement. It is the key to a fuller, richer, more meaningful existence. So I challenge you, as you leave this hall and return to your daily lives, to aim higher. Aim not just for success as the world defines it, but for the kind of growth and development that only comes through persistent effort in the face of difficulty. Remember always, you cannot give up. Remember, as I wrote in The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, once a king or queen of Narnia, always a king or queen of Narnia. In the same way, once you embrace this philosophy of refusing to give up, it becomes a part of who you are. It shapes your identity, your choices, your very being. Go forth with courage, with determination, and with the unshakable belief in your own capacity for growth and transformation. Be kind to yourself along the way, celebrate the victories, learn from the setbacks, and never lose sight of the magnificent being you are becoming through this process of perseverance. And as you do so, remember that your journey of refusing to give up is not just for you alone. It is a gift you give to the world, a light that illuminates the path for others. In choosing to persist, in choosing to keep going, Even when the way is difficult, you become a beacon of hope, a source of inspiration, a force for good in a world that so desperately needs examples of resilience. As I wrote in The Weight of Glory, it is a serious thing to live in a society of possible gods and goddesses. To remember that the dullest and most uninteresting person you talk to may one day be a creature which, if you saw it now, you would be strongly tempted to worship, or else a horror and a corruption such as you now meet, if at all, only in a nightmare. By refusing to give up, by consistently choosing the path of perseverance over surrender, you are participating in this grand transformation. You are becoming day by day, choice by choice, the creature of glory, and in doing so, you are inviting others to recognize and pursue their own potential for greatness. So, my dear friends, as you leave this hall today and return to the arena of your daily lives, carry with you this truth. The most important battles you will ever fight are those against your own doubts, your own fears, your own tendency to give up when the going gets tough. The most significant victories you will ever win are those over your own weakness, your own despair, your own limitations. Remember, as I wrote in Mere Christianity, the only things we can keep are the things we freely give to God. What we try to keep for ourselves is just what we are sure to lose. In the same way, it is only by giving ourselves fully to this process of growth through perseverance, by surrendering our comfort, our ease, our desire for quick fixes, that we truly gain ourselves in the deepest sense. Let every challenge you face be an opportunity to strengthen your resolve. Let every temptation to give up be a chance to reaffirm your commitment to becoming your best self. Let every moment of weakness be a reminder of your capacity, for it is in these moments of choice, these battlegrounds of will, that your character is forged and your destiny is shaped. And when the path seems too difficult, when the goal seems too distant, when your resolve wavers, remember this. You are capable of more than you know. As I wrote in The Horse and His Boy, but do not by any means destroy yourself, for if you live, you may yet have good fortune. But all the dead are dead alike. Every day that you choose to persist, to keep going, to refuse to give up, you are creating good fortune for yourself and for the world. Let me leave you with one final thought from the last battle. All their life in this world and all their adventures had only been the cover and the title page. Now at last they were beginning chapter 1 of the great story which no one on earth has read, in which every chapter is better than the one before. My friends, let this be the beginning of your great story. A story of perseverance, of refusing to give up, of constant growth and transformation. A story written not in the ink of easy victories or quick fixes, but in the indelible mark of persistent effort and unwavering determination. A story that, though it may not always be easy or pleasant, will be deeply, profoundly satisfying. Remember, the most profound transformations often happen in the crucible of difficulty. Like a diamond formed under immense pressure, your character is shaped by the challenges you refuse to surrender to. Each choice to persist, each refusal to give up, is a step towards becoming the person you are meant to be. So go forth, dear ones. Refuse to give up, not out of stubbornness or pride, but out of a deep love for the person you are becoming and the impact you can have on the world. Trust that by consistently choosing perseverance over surrender, determination over despair, you are participating in a grand transformation, not just of yourself, but of the very world around you. May your journey be blessed with moments of triumph, unexpected growth, and the deep satisfaction that comes from knowing you are becoming the best version of yourself. May you find the strength to persist when the path is difficult, the wisdom to learn from your setbacks, and the joy that comes from living a life of purpose and unwavering determination. Thank you, and may you go forth to write your great story, one persistent choice at a time. Remember, in the grand battle against the temptation to give up, you have the power to emerge victorious. The choice, as always, choose wisely, choose bravely, choose to persist. Your future self, and indeed the world, will thank you for it.